quite a long time, Larry. Almost 10 seconds longer than Dam or Schwenke. So maybe we are seeing where Dam and Schwenke maybe short-filled a little bit on that first stop, and they'll take a they'll come in for their second stop maybe a little bit earlier than Ken Copeland, who must have taken on quite a bit more fuel.
Well, yeah, that's interesting because the two teammates may be coordinating this to try and create separation because maybe they didn't want to be with Copeland and Brooks anymore. And this way it does it, but allows the two Dam and Schwenke to be a couple seconds apart. Maybe they were trying to fully link up, but that's an interesting strategy to force the separation. And then we'll see if it all comes back together when we get into that, 60th, 70th minute here.
All right, well, Ben Rose pits in from the lead, and while the car's up on the jacks and the tires are still spinning, Larry. Let's see where he comes out, and then we'll take a quick break here to thank some of our partners and sponsors.
And while we're watching,
I'm interested to see if he actually comes out ahead of Aaron Beaver, who I think right now is still almost 40 seconds in arrears. Beaver also has not pitted in yet.
Right. Interesting also is Billy Petrowski, a championship leader who we saw go out on opening lap, is back in the race. He has got his car repaired. There he is. So he's just trying to chase some points down. You never know. You're always working on something. And Petrowski not calling it quits tonight. He wants to turn some laps at Monza.
There you go. All right, so Ben Rose back out on track. He's going to rejoin in second position behind Aaron Beaver, who is our sole GTP driver not yet to pit. But let's do this, Larry, as we're quite a bit past the top of the hour. Let's take a quick break, thanks to our partners and sponsors, and we'll be back with you with more action from Monza as part of the Ricmotech Extreme Motorsports World Challenge here in just a few moments.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Monza for round number 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Performa Elite Buttkicker and the MRA Advisory Group. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, as we get back underway here, as Ben Rose has retaken the lead in GTP, as we had our final driver, I think that was Aaron Beaver, take his pit stop. We wanted to thank our sponsor, Buttkicker. I believe this is our 3rd season where Buttkicker has been part of the Extreme Motorsports family, and we're gonna be awarding a Buttkicker Gamer Plus package valued at $280 to one of our drivers at the end of season banquet. And if you want to turn up the immersion in your sim rig, make sure to visit thebuttkicker.com. And now Rose Larry continues to extend his lead as he's got almost 16 seconds on the rest of the GTP field. As we switch over to Mike Dam, as after we have cycled through our first pit stops here in GT3, it is Mike Dam and Travis Schwenke with Copeland and Brooks now third and fourth, as Dam is working his way. I think that's Phil Caffrey there in the 61 Ferrari that he works through. And Dam's already opened up almost 3 seconds on Schwenke. It was much closer when they left the pit lane.
Is that Ferrari Ricmotech red colored?
It looks that way to me.
That's smart. The smart marketing there. If you're Phil Caffrey, one of our Australians in the field, of course, we believe family member to Michael Caffrey, who we saw earlier.
It would be one heck of a coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, Caffrey could be like the single most popular last name in the entire southern hemisphere.
Entire continent there, yeah.
But yeah, I suspect they are somewhat related. But yep, they're both here in the race. Very cool to see. As Mike Dam's just trying to not give Travis Schwenke any possibility that very feeling that he maybe have a chance at this thing. Still holding it that just over 3 second gap. And then there's that background there. You can see you got Ken Copeland popping out there in that Merc. And not too far behind him, Michael Brooks. They're all spread out a little bit with different pit strategies and execution.
Oh, and that's Lucas Dragotta, who ran wide coming out of the Parabolica and had dropped the wheel, Larry, and looks like he had gathered it back up, and then he didn't, and then he was into the wall, and now he's in the pits.
That little Beetle looks like Herbie on his worst day right there. So gonna need some repairs for Herbie.
Yes. So Leo's teammate not having a great evening here. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened just ahead of Mike Dam.
As he just gets out there, gets a little bit of the gravel trap and just can't quite save it. And rather than going into Dam, he goes into the wall.
And Larry, I mean, that was so odd there that you could see as he was, as the car was going through the gravel trap, it looked as though he had it pretty much straightened up. And as he came back to that big apron of pavement there, that's when the car decided to hook left on him. As we take a look now, Bobby Childs on the pit lane, and don't know if this was a scheduled stop for him or perhaps unscheduled. I'm looking to see if there were any kind of off tracks or issues.
He's been in the pits for 3 minutes, from what I can tell. I think that would imply this is not scheduled. But we'll see what happens, as he appears to be now 2 laps down. It's unfortunate for Bobby to have that race go that way.
And Larry, this is Dre Divock in the Wrong Stuff Porsche, the number 12 machine. He's got Jeff Jacobs currently sitting 7th in pro, directly behind. But I think more importantly, let's take a look here. We were looking at that gap between Divock and Dragotta. By the way, I should add that David Steiner is, and after that very short pit stop, Steiner is your current leader in AM. But Dragotta is made up about a second, a little bit over a second and a half now on Dre Divock here as they're working lap number 25.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity now for Dragotta to try and close up on Divock, knowing they're going to have one more pit stop to go, as will David Steiner. So we're not sure if Steiner is on a strategy that could win this thing. You can see the gap there, about 9 seconds or so in front of the battle there between second and third. It's going to be interesting if Steiner's pace is good to continue. He's got solid pace, and looking at his lap times, he's not far off on par with what Divock and Dragotta have been doing. So it could be interesting if this offset and pit strategy pays off for Steiner. We'll monitor that, but a good job for him there in that BMW. Another one of our Australian drivers joining the Caffrey brothers. So and very
Steiner
cool.
In the 63 BMW.
Yeah. Out to this lead, trying to get away from Divock and Dragotta. So right now, let's watch that gap, 9.3 seconds. We'll see what that looks like in another 10 minutes or so, if he's able to maintain or pull out and make this strategy work.
Yeah, and he's got a nice little gap on traffic right now, Larry. Robert Hartley ahead about 4.5 seconds ahead. In that last shot, we just saw Chris Thorman, who's about 4 seconds behind. There he is, and you know, at the moment, the only thing that Steiner really has to worry about, besides just putting his head down, is the GTP traffic every once in a while when they come through.
Which is a big thing to worry around
Yes.
any kind of race track. We saw it at the Glen, we saw it everywhere. And I think we're going to see it here as we start to get into the second half of this 90-minute race. I think that could come to play, come to the end of it, when everyone's got their final pit stops down and fighting for position. That passing of interacting between the two classes could be a factor. So we've got Peyton working there behind Dragota still. And behind them, another one of our GTPs comes roaring up.
As Peyton wisely opens the door, loses a little bit of ground to Dragota in the process as they were coming into Parabolica.
And that's Tanner Dibble that was trying to make his way through, another one of our DNA Motorsports entries. I think we've got a 1-2-3 right now running again of the DNA between Rose Dibble and Ryan Reisman.
Reisman, yeah.
Yeah, solid performance so far. We had that early, and then between a couple of offs and a couple of penalties and whatever, now they've put that back together again. It's again Ben Rose 13 seconds up on Dibble and Reisman, 4 seconds between them. But yeah, it's teammates right now, 1-2-3.
And interesting there, Larry, where we have both Rose and Reisman driving the Cadillacs, whereas Dibble, once the Porsche was released onto the iRacing platform, went over to the Porsche. So obviously, you know, no brain share there as far as setups go between he and the rest of the team.
Yeah, so I maybe come down to maybe he's just a Porsche file, maybe, or perhaps he drove them both and said the Porsche is more his style and made that switch. So very interesting, because we know we've got 4 different options now among those,
and they do drive very differently.
Yeah, between a BMW, which I don't believe anybody tonight is registered in BMWs now. It's Cadillacs, Porsches, and then Bobby in the Acura, Billy Petrowski in the Acura. But yeah, right now no BMWs in this field here to these 8 cars tonight.
All right, is Dre Divock now has been able to step away a little bit from the BMW there of Jeff Jacobs. It gives him a little bit of breathing room. Doesn't necessarily have to be on guard from the rear as often as he had the last couple of laps. And we see here the gap, and I don't know if it's possible. There we go. Oh, and coming into the pits, David Steiner pitting in from the lead in AM. And so this is his second pit stop, Larry. And I mean, he should have more than enough fuel to get to the end of the race.
That's what I'm looking at. From here to the end is about 38 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be a long pit stop.
It's going to be a very long. He's got to top off this fuel tank to make it 38 minutes potentially plus. It's an interesting strategy, bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
All right, and he is on his way back out. He's going to rejoin behind Chris Peters in 7th position. So that's going to move Dre Divock back to the lead, and Leo Dragota in 2nd. About now 3.5 seconds back. And it looks like it puts Steiner once again in a nice little gap, Larry. He's got about 5 seconds up to Peters, and about 15 or so back to Bruno Belny. So should be able to just possibly just put his head down again and drive. All right, checking back in with our leader Ben Rose. Likely, is that Takahashi behind him, lap down?
Probably Mulfield. The WJ Motorsport teammate to Takahashi, similar white car livery there.
Yeah, currently Rose, Dibble, and Reisman the only ones on the lead lap. Actually, Takahashi's going to cross the line here, so technically he'll be on the lead lap as well. And here's the fight we were watching a little bit earlier, Larry. Hasn't changed all that much, but Russ Ruddick and Chris Reeves.
Yeah.
Ruddick in the BMW, Reeves in the Porsche.
Yeah, this time Reeves is on the inside. Last time we saw this drag race, the BMW was on the inside, I thought.
Yes.
But we'll see if the drag race, that BMW, look at this. It just seems like he's got a little bit more, but look at that, out braking with the Porsche brakes.
Wow.
And Reeves able to get it woe down. Good job there making that pass. We'll see if he can make it stick and stay.
I think you saw there where Ruddick pretty much just put the BMW on its nose and was able to scrub speed off. I think he just probably needed to do it about 20 feet later. But yeah, good move there by Chris Peters.
Yep. See if he's able to do any pulling away. I'm just looking at his lap times versus Russ Ruddick over the course of this race. And a single personal best for Peters is faster than Ruddick's. But we'll see if that actually translates to, a consistent lap over lap to see if Peters has that pace. But it's been a good battle so far. And we're still 35 minutes from seeing anything that looks like a checker. So,
well, and Larry, I was talking about that gap that Steiner had between he and the next cars ahead. Well, the next cars ahead are Ruddick and Peters. We'll see how he deals with that as Jeff Jacobs now comes down the pit lane.
So that's the downside to taking one of those off strategies is you risk getting put into some tough traffic that will take you longer to get around. And honestly, often you lose the most time if you have to take a couple of corners or a couple of laps to get around a car that you generally have more pace of. So we'll see if Steiner, what he's going to be able to do with Ruddick and Peters is they're having their own battle, and Steiner's overall pit strategy is going to put them in an off strategy to him. We'll see if Steiner is able to get through them quickly and continue his move toward the front and try to catch Divox and Tragoda. There's a good shot of him coming out of Parabaca onto the front straight. There is Dave Steiner with a couple of GTPs around him.
Yeah,
behind him should be Molefield.
Yeah, that's Molefield directly behind.
Yeah.
Molefield now running very deep into the first chicane.
I think Molefield probably would normally break a lot later than a GT3 and probably just got caught off in the timing. Went, oh yeah, GT3 is going to.
I was just saying, I think he spent more time looking at the back of Steiner's car as Mike Dam, and this is what we thought, Larry, that Dam and Schwenke had short-filled the cars on their first pit stop, and they are now both on the pit lane.
And I'll tell you what, I would expect their teammate Hartley to do the same because he also appears to have a pretty. And there he is, right up here.
Hartley's on the pit lane as well.
Make a real believer out of me now. Hartley doing the exact same strategy.
Yep.
Let's see if Schwenke and Dam are able to close. If Schwenke is able to pick up 3 seconds in this and make a move.
And that's going to put Copeland and Brooks back up 1-2. Chris Thorman now, for the time being, up into third. And currently fourth in GT3 overall. Dre Divock and with Jeff Jacobs heading down the pit lane, that's going to now eliminate that car between Dragoda and Divock for the battle in AM. But here's Ken Copeland. He is your new leader.
Back to the front. He was there before all the stops all started. Here he is back up there now as we wait for his and Michael Brooks' final stop. See what they can do. The gap from them, of course, to Peyton, as we're looking at Copeland to Dam and Schwenke is, let me see, to Dam is about 36 seconds. So we'll see what that delta looks like when they actually come in. Interestingly, is between Dam and Schwenke, it's just about that same 3.5 seconds that it has been since the first pit stop. So
yeah, as they were both in right around 27 3/4 seconds in their pit box.
Yeah.
And we'll see here, Larry, because we still have slightly over 30 minutes remaining. I think that's Alex Brown currently running third in AM directly behind Travis Schwenke.
Yeah, the 67 there with that gray and it kilt plaid looking Porsche behind them. It's like a kilt. It's all gray on top and plaid on the bottom. Wait for it. There's the plaid. It covers your backside. It's a kilt.
It's a kilt.
Good shot there of Alex Brown.
Nice entry into the chicane.
Yeah.
Where he just, and then, as you mentioned, the fast guys, they don't necessarily stand the car on its nose. They, brake a little bit earlier, brake a little bit softer, try to carry speed through the apex.
Yeah.
Obviously, a little bit difficult there in the first chicane, given how tight it is. But saw there where Brown made up some good ground there on Travis Schwenke.
Yeah, it's a real theory about tire loading and maximizing ultimately speed by transferring the weight appropriately so the tires can handle it more. And iRacing's got a pretty good handle on that model of how that works, which allows you as a driver to sort of repeat what you would do in the real world. The fastest of drivers, and there's all stories about, Michael Schumacher and his teammates like Eddie Irvine and Schumacher always broke less, turned earlier, and ultimately made the corner faster. Senna had the same thing with some of his early teammates. Same concept. Everybody would say, how is he doing that? By braking earlier and braking less. And it goes to brake earlier, turn your hands earlier, turn your hands slower, load the tire appropriately. And I think what we're seeing is these fast drivers doing the same thing. Brake earlier, turn your hands earlier but slower, loads the tire, ultimately gets more grip, and the car actually can get out of the corner faster. It's a fascinating technique, very difficult to master. I'm definitely not there. But some of these guys, folks, it seems like all of our Orion drivers have probably about 2/3 of our field. I'm not going to say which 2/3, but about 2/3 of our field is really good at it. They're all great drivers. That's why you and I are talking about it, and they're driving.
And they're doing it exactly.
Good shot of Dam to see. Kind of watch these 37 seconds. So just kind of watching that gap to Copeland and to Michael Brooks out in the front. That's what's going to be interesting. Now Copeland will expect to have a shorter pit stop than, of course, Mike Dam. Dam, he stopped the shorter one first, a little longer one second. Copeland's going to probably be more even across the two, but we'll see what that actual time looks like. It's looking decent for him right now. That he's got good, clear track. I haven't seen him put in any bad laps trying to chase traffic down. So good pace right now for Ken Copeland.
All right, I'm trying to check who that is he's coming up on. I think that's John Casey in the 78 Ferrari.
It does look like it could be. Casey or
the rear end of the new Ferrari keeps throwing me off with some of these paint jobs.
Yeah. I can see the 78, the number giving it away there for John, and that entry there in that Ferrari. And a good job for Copeland again, able to get by. A little help from, of course, Casey and making sure he didn't make it too difficult for him. But that's critical as a race leader who's off strategy between your rivals. You gotta dispose of lap traffic quickly.
Yeah, quickly when you can't keep the pace up.
Yeah.
And I think it helps quite a bit as you take a look here once again. Copeland with a lot of space between he and the next driver. I think Rick Brockway's somewhere along the lines of about 7 seconds up the road. So big gap there for Copeland to again just put his head down and turn laps. But there you go. I was going to say it's been made a lot easier, I think, for a lot of these drivers, Larry, is a lot of the field now really starting to get stretched out as we jump back to Ben Rose, who likewise has about 15 seconds on the field.
He has been so consistent, and you watch that gap now over 15 seconds over his teammates there, and he's just rock solid, just not finding any real hints of weakness right now in Ben Rose's game. He knows if he can pull this one off, he can take the lead back over, especially the opportunity with Petrowski having a bad lap in the first lap. Great opportunity here for Rose to pick up maximum points and holding on to that championship lead. So he's just taking it by the scruff of the neck and taking off with it.
Yeah, and you know, Larry, we were talking earlier when we were watching this view of Ben Rose and watching the onboard, I would say the onboard camera, but the view of the webcam, so we can see exactly how he's doing it and how he just doesn't really seem to overreact. And it's an interesting composition there where you can see the steering wheel just to the left of his camera, and you know, although we don't see his hands, all we see is like, you know, forearms up to his shoulders, and it doesn't look like he's doing anything. When you look at the steering wheel in the sim, and you can see that he has just this economy of motion. There's very little that he does, even going into the chicanes. It's one input in, one input out.
You know what he also does very little of? Blink. Just watching his eyes, and you can watch his eyes scan through the corner, look at the mirrors, check and see, especially there going past the lap traffic. Oh, there's a blink. Okay, it's 2 on this lap. He's just got so much visual focus. It's fascinating. We got to stop looking at that.
John took the camera down because he knew that I was going to say blink twice if you're in danger.
Yeah, no, it's the focus. It's just laser focus and no inefficiencies at all in what he's doing. It's really amazing and fascinating to watch. Also wondering if our battle had been closing up between Dre Divock and Leo Jagoda, but it just opened by another second. It was down to about 1.7. Now it's back up to almost 3. But those two battling, and race leader Rose into the pits for the second and final time.
That's right. So his final pit stop of the evening, he does it with about a 15-second advantage over Tanner Dibble in the 963 machine.
Let's see if this is a slower pit stop than before, as he's still got 24 minutes to go before the race is over. He may have taken the less fuel in the first stop than his teammates Dibble and Ricmotech. We'll see if this stop for him is longer.
A little longer, yeah.
Which means Dibble and Ricmotech may not be too far out of this. I know that Rose has been putting in great laps. But I would not be surprised if when we cycle through, that lead trims down to less than 10 seconds between. In fact, Dibble just turned his personal best lap of the race, a 33.40.
Good a time as any to do it. David Payton on the pit lane as well in his D2D Ferrari. Pitted in from third, or probably fourth in pro, and he'll slide back through the field for his second pit stop. Peyton is in and out in a fairly short period of time, only 16 seconds in the pit stall. All right, so Dibble is your new overall leader. He has, Larry, about, what, 36 seconds over Ben Rose.
So has Ricmotech also taken his second stop already? I believe my data says he has.
Ricmotech, I believe, has come down for his second pit stop already.
Yep, he was running third. So the order before this final pit stop was Rose, Dibble, Ricmotech. Rose is now down to second, Ricmotech to fourth. Takahashi in between has yet to take a second stop, and Dibble has yet to take a second stop. So let's see if perhaps Ricmotech can leapfrog teammate Dibble, but right now we're still looking at the advantage DNA Motorsports, all 3 of those to having the advantage going into these final stops. We'll get a look at that as there's Ricmotech there in the blue of the DNA Motorsports entries in his Cadillac. Just about 10 seconds behind Takahashi, so I would expect that Takahashi's got to take his second stop here shortly, that Ricmotech's going to be able to leapfrog back into a front 3 running position. This lap though, as he's going to blow on down that front straight. It's the weirdest thing here, that car right line down the main front straight here at Monza, more of a guideline. You just sort of cut across it. You don't really worry about it. Tells you how far away you are from the wall.
That is, I think, Brockway.
Yeah.
He just went off coming out of the first chicane.
And trying to make sure he stays out of the way of the Ryan Ricmotech entry coming through.
All right, let's take a look. Yeah, and indeed, he was he was off the gas, I think, there for Bruno Bellini to get by, and now we know why. Well, now we definitely know why. Is it looks as though, and Larry, that may really
Was that
switch
Schwenke?
things up here in pro, because I believe that was the 16 machine of Travis Schwenke getting into the back of Brockway.
All right, well, that could, if there's penalties to be given, that could shake things up a lot, as Schwenke was involved with it. So let's see what the stewards have to say. They are looking at it. If that's a penalty, that's going to shake up the podium there, because Schwenke had been giving himself a good opportunity to get up into that after running fourth before all the pit stops started. It's going to really hurt his chances. Very uncharacteristic of Schwenke. Normally very clean and clean through traffic. We don't often see this kind of thing, but hey, penalty's a penalty if it's officially is given. We'll see what the stewards have to say. He's getting around a couple of other lap cars there. Of course, one of those being Alex Brown.
Brown, I think the red Porsche is the one that we saw earlier, and I think that's
Brown
Bruno
actually
Bellini.
Brown actually technically is fighting for position with Schwenke, as Brown has yet to take his second stop. Schwenke has taken his. So we'll keep our eyes on that, as there's our leader, Copeland.
And we may see him come into the pits soon enough. Copeland now having built up almost a 30-second advantage over our new second place runner, Chris Thorman.
I'll tell you what, he's almost 40 seconds ahead of Mike Dam. So those two were nose to tail before the opening round of pit stops, and that means that he's opened up an extra maybe 3 seconds on Dam from where he was just about 5 laps ago. So Copeland doing everything he can to make sure that there's no sight of Mike Dam when Copeland, when he makes his last pit stop coming up in probably the next, I would say, 2 laps or so. He's going to have to come in.
All right, and well, there you go, Larry. Ken Copeland, he's on the pit lane.
Look at that.
So let's track him here.
Yeah, oh, there you go. Make the flyer, get in. It's a good in-lap strategy. He's got 40 seconds or less to stay into this thing ahead of Mike Dam. Now, if Thorman stops, then that'll keep the lead amongst this group. Thorman goes by, he'll take the lead at least for a moment.
All right, you can see there Fernando Takahashi comes into the pit lane as well.
And Thorman's going on by, so he'll take over the lead, I expect temporarily, because he does have to make another stop. But Copeland's back out. No sign yet of Mike Dam.
There's Mike Dam coming out of Parabolica now. Oh, this is going to be close, Larry. And of course,
and there's traffic. I see a Dragoda.
Dam has a full head of steam heading down into
I see
the first chicane.
A Leo Dragoda currently second in AM in between them, and that's going to be tough. Maybe that helps Dam a little bit, because he'll have an extra car to draft off of to get up there. And Leo's obviously shown a lot of really good pace, but Dam now down by about, we'll call it about 2 seconds back.
2 seconds.
Open. Yeah.
Bill Mofield comes in for his second pit stop in the number 23 Porsche 963 GTP car, and I think I just saw that car go up in the air, up in the jack stands, possibly. Yeah, a little hard to tell from the from the shot that we have here.
And we're not sure if that's tires or if that's just what they always do when they come in. But one thing to note is Michael Brooks, of course, ran right in that front 3 for such a long time of this race. Currently back in 8th in pro, has taken both of his pit stops, but I'm not sure what that was for Michael. If we saw anything that showed him dropping back. Based on the chats, I think, I think Divock is in. Dragoda is in.
There we go. We just saw him there. Divock pits in from the lead in AM. Then Leo Dragoda in the pits as well. Alex Brown in the pits. Those are your top 3 in AM. Chris Thorman, who had temporarily been leading in pro, he is now back out, currently sitting 4th, and make that 5th behind Hartley.
There's your 2 rivals. 2 rivals in the AM category can see each other. This will be a fun last 15 minutes or so.
And Dragotta was able to made up about 0.2 of a second in the pits, not very much.
He's going to need to do a little more than that here in 15 minutes. Interestingly, we talked about Steiner, who had the lead there for a little while. He's currently 4th in all this, and I'd say about 18 seconds back or so. So the strategy may have helped him move up a little bit, but currently right now still on the outside of a podium looking in with Alex Brown, our pre-race interview, currently sitting in that 3rd spot.
Oh, and a little wiggle there coming out of that corner by Michael Caffrey, who we haven't talked about in quite some time there. Caffrey, of course, in that incident much earlier, another one of our Aussie drivers behind David Steiner, and currently sits 5th in AM.
About 3.5 seconds behind his countrymate there, Mike. 3.5 seconds back there for 4th and 5th in the AM category. So we'll see if Caffrey's got any speed left in him, try and make a run for that 4th spot. And he's got, of course, Jeff Jacobs just about 2.5 behind him. Jeff out of the pro category, though, and where Steiner and Caffrey both running in AM here tonight. As you can see by the windshield banners and mirrors and number plates and end plates. I don't know the whole speech, Greg. You've got that part down. I have to kind of wing it.
It just comes to me, Larry. It's like divine intervention.
All right, so Copeland and Dam at the front of the pro field, 2 seconds apart. Divock and Dragotta, almost 5 seconds between them at the front of the AM field. There's Divock in that number 12, the wrong stuff. He is all the curb. Don't do that.
And that last lap, Larry, Divock opening up almost another about 65 hundredths of a second on Dragotta. I wondered if John can put up those splits again. There we go. And once again,
it's like you two are reading each other's minds, Greg.
Absolutely. And there you go. 8 tenths, 7 tenths in the last 2 laps or so.
I've never seen you two. I've never seen you two in the same place. I hear 2 voices, but you are talented. I'm just saying. you and Jonathan could be.
One of us is the mannequin, or the ventriloquist dummy.
I believe the word is dummy, Greg.
Yeah, thank you. Oh my.
What the audience doesn't hear is Jonathan in the background saying other things. So we're just going to leave it at that.
It's a self-deprecating humor. All right.
I'm the dummy, Greg.
Now they're arguing over who's the dummy.
You can only say it so many times, John, and it still doesn't make it true.
All right. So, yeah, Divock here trying to solidify his potential win here with about 12 minutes to go on the clock in the AM category, 4.5 seconds over his rival. Assuming they have enough fuel on board, they'll maintain pace. We'll see if it's enough for either one of them right now. Brown holding 3rd, Steiner still trying to chase him down, 5.5 seconds, the gap between 3rd and 4th in the GT3 AM category.
Yeah, and I think Steiner's closed out a good portion of that gap in the last couple of laps, Larry.
Yeah, well, lap graphic could come up, but Brown able to respond. They picked up about 6 tenths on Steiner just the last time around. So Steiner may be recognizing, maybe Brown now recognizing Steiner's coming from him. And there you go. Look at that. Ooh. The lap 40-41 are probably from fuel stops, as we've got
Tanner Dibble now taking his second and we presume final pit stop of the evening. He has about 36 6 seconds or so to give on Ben Rose. And
So
given,
look at the standings there.
Times,
We got, let's see where this plays out. There's Rose down the front straight.
and there's Dibble.
There's Dibble.
Hmm.
Wow, look at Tanner Dibble into the lead. 11 minutes to go, and he's got Russ Ruddick and a GT3 in front of him. He's gonna have to wait on it and then go. That's gonna bring Dibble and teammate Rose very close together. We got a race on our hands, boys and girls.
10 minutes with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah. See, this is why you never turn off one of these races, because after 79 minutes, the heat is cranking up here at Monza. We know that Rose has been fast, but right now, Dibble's pit strategies, his execution has got him into the lead. Their teammate Ricmotech currently third, about 30 seconds back, not really challenging this right now, but Dibble and Rose, we saw this at the Glen, where it was desperation passes coming down to the last couple laps. I think we're seeing the same thing playing out here.
Yeah, all
and that's
over
Copeland.
again.
That's
At least they've got a little more opportunity to make passes here. Although, look at this, Larry.
This is not going to work out for Rose very well. He's going to catch, unless he gets it on the way out. He's got that GT3 at Copeland. He lucked out. He's passed.
Yeah, just got him at the right time.
Yeah.
But you can see there, Larry, how this race started early, mid-afternoon. And as the clock is starting to wind down, there are parts of this track which are absolutely blinding for these drivers.
And just a quick note on the battle, we saw Copeland getting lapped by these guys. The last time by, Mike Dam picked up about a half a second on Copeland, and Dam turned his personal fastest lap of the race, and there's those two. So that's 2 of our 3 battles really cranking up. Dibble and Rose in GTP, Copeland and Dam in GT3 Pro. This is not decided at the front of those 2 classes. Divock still, we'll keep an eye on that, 4 seconds over Dragotta, but can Mike Dam, who just grabbed a couple of tenths, can he get down here? We've probably only got about, 5-6 laps to go for these guys. It's going to be close. Look at that. That's closer. 8 tenths now between them. They're basically nose to tail.
And look at how much time Rose has picked up here, as Rose is now less than a second back from Dibble, and we saw Dibble there just trying to throw his Porsche over the curbing there at the chicane. But Ben Rose,
this will be interesting. You mentioned Dibble's the one odd man out in the DNA. He runs the Porsche. Rose and Ricmotech run the Cadillac. Are they different over curbs? That's one of the things these chassis can vary on. Can he use curbs more? Can he use curbs less? This is part of what's going to play into this, especially in a chicane-style track like here at Monza. Look at that graphic, though. In this lap, the last time around, Rose quicker in every sector, and he's continuing that trend until Sector 4, where Dibble responds. But look at that. Rose picks up about a half a second in the last time since they cross start finish.
Here we go. We'll track now as they cross the line once again, completing their 51st lap. And there you go. Rose now only 6 tenths behind and closing things down as they get to the end of the front straight, Larry. And once again, coming up on some inopportune GT3 traffic.
Yep, and that's the 43 of Chris Peters, currently 6th in the AM category, trying to get out of the way of this as fast as he can, and he does. But look at this, between them, 5 tenths, and again, Rose continues to be faster in the first couple of sectors of every lap. Now, with draft, that's going to help him to be able to close up some of that.
And Larry, I think what we're also seeing here is right now the Cadillac definitely with more top end than the Porsche. And one of the reasons we keep seeing that perhaps Dibble has a slightly faster sector 4 time is, he had the start finish line is so early on that front straight that that Rose's car just hasn't really started to stretch its legs yet, and we see that very quick sector 1 time, as it definitely then has that higher top end speed coming into the first chicane.
Well, you talk about that start-finish line being relatively close to the exit of Parabolica. What that also means is if this is in this type of a race, nose to tail coming off of Parabolica, I don't know if the trailing car will have enough time and draft to be able to make the pass before they reach that stripe. So if you're going to make a pass, if you're Ben Rose, you may need to do it somewhere else earlier in that lap or earlier in a previous lap.
Prior lap, yeah.
This isn't going to be like, Spec Fords, Miata, Skippy, something like that, where you can make a pass between the end of the corner and the stripe. You may have to do it somewhere else earlier. Oh, look at that on the brakes for Rose. Yeah, you know what? And we mentioned that Dibble actually had to serve a drive-through after the opening couple of laps of this race. That tells you the pace. He's able to overcome a drive-through, which probably took about an extra 12 seconds. That's a good sign for him that he has pace. But coming down to this, Rose seems to be quicker right now, but he's also the attacker. Always easier to be quicker when you're the attacker. You've got a target. When you're out in front, you're trying to play defense. You're trying to be precise while you're watching mirrors. It's always harder.
All right, so let's look at Mr. Excitement here, Ben Rose. Stock is winding down, and they drive into the sun. And Dibble's opened up a couple tenths on in the last sector. We'll see here as they come hard under braking, going to come up on some more GT3 traffic, and I believe that's one of the Dragotas.
Yeah, that sun, I tell you what, they're better of
that was Jeff Jacobs in the BMW.
Oh, here's an opportunity. There he goes. Yeah, that was
the inside.
Yeah, that traffic there for Dibble may have cost him a little bit. Now he's going to be on the the downside here. He's going to have to come up with some draft. He's going to have to come up with something now. 5 minutes to go. Rose now to the front.
All right, so new leader here with now less than 5 minutes remaining here at Monza. Ben Rose, your new leader. Tanner Dibble slots in the second, and Larry again, knowing that Cadillac seems to have a little bit more top end speed. We'll have to see how the Porsche does from the rear. And the thing that we've also noticed is that we do have that Cadillac getting tossed over the curbs, or probably the Porsche getting tossed over the curbs. Ben Rose doing a good job of keeping off when he can. As we jump back to the battle for the lead in GT3 Pro, as Mike Dam is now closed Ken Copeland's lead down to less than a second here.
Yes, he has. And we were watching this go from 4 to 3 to 2, and now down to less than a second between these guys. This is getting super intense. That's one of our WJM Motorsports cars goes on by, but yeah, for Copeland, he better figure something out. He's got to play defense here for the next, let's say, 3 laps or so, depending on where they go. But look at that little bit of slide for Mulfield in front of him. He's going to check out of there quickly. But that's just enough to just get in your way if you're Copeland. Mike Dam is charging and charging hard.
And there you go. You can see the gaps as they've come down lap after lap after lap for the last 5.
All right, so it looks a lot like both classes are going to do the same thing. Look at Dibble now as the aggressor. Now as the roles have reversed, he's on the tail end of it with 3 minutes to go. We're going to call it 3 laps, maybe 2 laps. Oh, it's going to be so close to being a 3rd lap. I don't know if they will. This may be 2 laps now as they are just over 1.5 minutes per. Look at the traffic. Oh, what an opportunity now for Rose.
Oh.
Whoop. Yeah, look at Rose.
As Rose gets stuck going next to one of the Dragotas coming through the chicane.
That was Dibble getting stuck. Opportunity for Rose to pull away.
I'm sorry, it was Dibble.
Yeah.
And Larry, as you noticed, right after they had the turn in the first, the left-hander, or probably the right-hander going into the chicane, the Porsche looked as though it had lost the rear end and actually started angling right towards Tanner Dibble's prototype car. Was able to keep those cars separated, but Dibble losing a lot of time just in that one complex as we jump back to the battle for the lead in GT3 Pro.
Well, we've seen this BMW be very strong in a straight line with other drivers, with Russ Ruddick in some battles and things, and here we see, is this what Mike Dam needs at this stage? Is it better straight line speed? Is this enough to draft? Is this it with likely 1 lap following this? Is he's going to go inside
Copeland
to protect?
Seems to think so.
Yep, Copeland's protecting. Smart move.
As Dam had made up about a car length and a half. Big slide coming out of the chicane for Copeland.
Yeah.
Dam appears to have gotten a slightly better run.
Tire condition for Copeland may be an issue at this stage. Dam's tires might be in better shape because, like you said, that big slide coming out of 1, that's tough to overcome. It's all about corner exits at this place. If you can't put power down, you're going to be in trouble.
And
Look
a
at
little
Dam,
wiggle
so
from
much
Dam
quicker.
at the front.
Again, a better exit, right? And that's, he can't make a pass here, but the car just looks like it's putting power down cleaner. Right now, Copeland's car looks loose. Good exit there for Copeland. Should
As
get
we
him
now
up
have
to-
less than a minute remaining on the clock, Larry, so we'll have to track as Rose and Dibble are about a third of the way through the lap.
Do we have confirmation if they're on white flag right now? If they are, everybody should be seeing one. Because if this is white flag, this will be it for Rose and Dibble, and everybody else will see a white flag right behind them. I think it might be based on lap times.
Yeah, and we're about halfway through the lap, Larry, and less than a half minute here remaining on the clock. I think we're definitely on the last lap.
Yep. All right, so here comes Dibble. Dibble knows if this is white flag, this is it. He's got to get the exit of this chicane and get the run down to Parabolica to pop into the lead. Great exit for Rose, though.
All right, 10 seconds remaining on the clock, Larry.
Yeah, this is definitely last lap. And there you see white flag should have been waved in the background for these two.
Oh, and going off right ahead of him. Oh my gosh. One of the
That was tight.
WJM cars, but here coming across the line and taking the checkered flag with win number 4 this season, or probably not win number 4, that's win number 2 for Ben Rose.
It should be 3 in a row.
Congratulations, Ben. Tanner Dibble finishing in second as we now watch and as Mike Dam tries to make the move on Ken Copeland here on the last lap.
Yeah, for Rose, that's 3 wins in a row,
3
but this
wins.
is what it's all about, is this battle. How defensive is Copeland? How wide can you make a Mercedes? BMW is a big car, but right now, Copeland hoping his Mercedes could be the bigger car.
Where's Jeff Jacobs when we need the answer to that?
Hey, Jacobs loves his Mercedes as well, so we'll see, because he rode one for years. Look at
And
this. Look at the
Copeland gets a
positioning.
horrible run out of there. Dam, though, can't do anything with it. Is only able to pull up, get the tiniest of overlaps as they come under the bridge, hard under braking into Ascari.
Copeland defensive, good positioning. Now everything is about this exit. He gets a decent one. I don't know if it's good enough, though. Dam's is pretty solid. And Dam may pop out and follow this GTP right here. He does not. I don't think he can outbrake him. Maybe he's hoping he's got better tires, and he might. Here he goes.
Oh, and there he goes. Comes right underneath the Mercedes as they come out of Parabolica for the last time. And as they race to the line side by side, taking the win in GT3. Ken Copeland by 34 one-thousandths of a second. Mike Dam's going to finish second. Travis Schwenke. Well, Travis Schwenke's the only one in the top 6 who has not crossed the line yet. There he goes. Travis Schwenke now takes the checkered flag. He's going to finish third. In GT3, Andre Davok holds off Leo Dragota with then one of the Browns. That is going to be Alex Brown finishing in third. Michael Caffrey finishes just off the podium. So it's Rose, Dibble, Reisman in GTP, Copeland, Dam, Schwenke in GT3 Pro, Divop, Dragota, and Brown in GT3 AM.
Awesome.
Wow.
Brilliant finishes in those classes. Brilliant driving. I can't wait to hear from these drivers.
Oh my. And I'm sure Mike Dam thought he had that one, maybe not in the bag, but I'm sure he thought he had it coming out of Parabolica as the Mercedes just put the gas down when it needed to and was able to inch ahead 34 one-thousandth of a second. All right, Larry, let's take a quick break. We'll thank some of our partners and sponsors, and when we come back, we will talk to some of our podium finishers here at Monza, where you've just seen round number 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Monza, where we've just seen round number 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Buttkicker, MRA Advisory Group, and of course, Proforma Elite. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod here on Apex Racing TV. And Larry, what a finish!
Oh my goodness!
Oh my! Oh my! All right,
Brilliant
so
stuff.
Where do we start? You know what? I say we kind of ramp up the energy. Let's start with GT3 AM, and do we have Leo here? I don't see Leo. Yeah, let's do this. Let's bring in Dre Divock, our winner tonight for the wrong stuff in GT3 AM.
All right, Dre Divock with us here. Your winner in GT3 AM. And Dre, great drive. Congrats on that win. How you feeling? This is a tough, long night here at Monza.
That is one of the most intense just tracks, especially at 90 minutes, man. It's just insane. You can't make any mistakes, as you know. You miss one of your 5 braking points total in this place, and you're losing a ton of time. So, yeah, felt good.
Yeah, that was a tough race. The 2 different pit stops, right? And it seemed like everyone's on a different strategy. We had seen what was going on in your class in particular. Were you just going with your strategy? Did you have from the start that was what you were going to do, or did you make any calls on the fly to maybe come in early and try to get track position?
No, I was at the beginning of the race. I was pretty much in a lot of free air, so I thought I could just stick with my normal pit stop, the full, and then the second one afterwards. And I didn't take tires the second one. I was thinking of taking left sides only, but I'm glad I didn't, because the car felt really good, and I wasn't really hard on the tires today, so that made the car feel real good, especially late in the stint.
Yeah, I tell you what, you're in such a tight points battle. I'm sure you knew that already coming into tonight, with just a 1-point advantage coming in over your rival, Leo Dragota. He had a great race, but not able to catch you in that last stint. You end up out in front of him, I think, for now your 3rd win of the season. It's coming down to it. This is going to be tight. Are you going to be like 24/7 before the next round, or practicing our next race?
Oh yeah, absolutely. After winning the last round, I was like, all right, I got a chance now. Let's put in the time. I put almost 175 laps here this week, because I just don't know Monza very well. Big shout out to Michael Brooks for helping me really kind of gain a lot more time in this track and really kind of fine tuning this bad boy. So.
Yeah, well, that hard work totally pays off as you end up with another win, a couple wins here in a row now for you, going to extend that overall points lead. You're in a great position now going into the last bit of the season here. So congrats on all that, but I'm sure you got some folks. You've already mentioned one with Michael Brooks, but some folks to help you get here tonight.
Yeah, Michael Brooks, obviously, Joey Rutledge, one of our team owners as well, helping me out here in Monza, and all our sponsors just helping us out, and our setup team really putting out a good setup for this track. It just saved the tires, fuel was great, just overall really happy with the outcome, and just thank you to everybody and you guys as well. You guys always do a great job, so I can't wait to go back and watch this race.
Yeah, this is definitely a fun one. Hard, well-earned victory here for you, Dre. So congrats on that, and you're still going to be in that points lead, so congrats there. Good job tonight, Dre Divock.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, there you go, everybody, for the wrong stuff racing. Your winner tonight in GT3 AM, Dre Divock. Let's move over now to GTP, and finishing second tonight for DNA Motorsports, it's Tanner Dibble, driver of the number 963 Porsche. Would have surprised you. 963.
Tanner, my goodness, what a down and up race for you here tonight. The way things kind of went with a bit of a crazy start, but all of a sudden you found yourself out in that lead, and then the battle at the end with teammate Ben. Oh my goodness. Have you come down from that bit of a buzz? The adrenaline's got to be rushing.
Yeah, for sure. It was a lot of fun. I I think Ben was taking it a bit easy through traffic. He had a pretty mega lead. So that kind of worked against him towards the end, but can't blame him for wanting to keep it safe.
Yeah, a crazy battle as you guys are coming down. You got that advantage. He comes up to you, gets you, and then you start exchanging in traffic. I got to ask your teammates and all, but how hard were you trying to find a move there on that last lap? Or was it one of those, like, if he makes a big mistake, take it. If not, teammate 1-2 is still good?
Well, to be honest, like, he is much more in the fight for the win in the championship. So if I can give him the win, I'm more than happy to do that. But the Porsche is obviously, maybe not obviously, but for people who don't know, it's not quite as good as the Caddy here. So even in the slipstream, it's very tough to keep up with him. So yeah, I definitely threw it in attack mode on the last lap to try and get as close as I could. But yeah, traffic worked against me.
Yeah, but hey, a great finish for you. It looks like a 1-2-3 now for the team. That's awesome, and for you, a great, well-earned top 2 here position. And what an awesome battle! A great demonstration of the way you guys raced in those last couple laps. It was intense. It was a ton of fun to watch, and I'm sure that you and the DNA team worked pretty hard to get here. I'm sure you want to give a few shout-outs here for this podium finish.
Yeah, mainly to them. Shout out to my teammates. Ben made a little adjustment on my setup, which ended up working or giving me maybe 3 or 4 tenths a lap. So shout out to him for that. But yeah, thanks to my team.
All right, well, awesome job here tonight in second place, and what a fun battle that was to watch there for you. Tanner Dibble coming home in second place.
Thanks, guys.
Greg, I think you muted yourself. Have we lost it, Greg? Well, Greg is still there. Tell you what, Greg, I know what you're doing. We've got Ben Rose in here,
Hey,
your
I muted
winner in
myself.
GTP. He muted himself. Maybe the best thing that's ever happened. Ben, with that introduction, as grand as that was, congrats. This is now a
It
couple
sounded
wins.
amazing when I said it to myself. I swear.
I think it's,
I
3
said
wins.
that Ben was the greatest GTP driver ever.
Oh, how dare you? That doesn't work. Okay, flattery doesn't work. Just be honest.
All right,
Thank you.
So Ben, I'll give you a proper intro. Great win tonight. Amazing battle there at the end with your teammate Tanner. At the end of the day, you end up on top now. 3 wins in a row for you and DNA Motorsports. Unbelievable drive. But I tell you what, here's my observations. We had your camera on you quite a bit. I think we counted 3 blinks per lap. You were so focused, so intense, but there's not even an expression on your face. You look so focused. Is this just you all the time? You just that focused a guy? Because you look like it.
I wish I would say it's a snapshot of me just staring in. But no, I was actually quite focused because I was taking it so easy, saving fuel and kind of being very gentle passing the GT3s, ensuring I didn't do anything rash, since I had pretty much a good lead at the beginning. And obviously Bailey wasn't there to kind of fight with me, which is what I was expecting from the beginning. So I was just really focused, I guess I would have to say, on not doing anything silly and ruining for myself. But yeah. Yes.
Unbelievable. Yeah, no, it was amazing to watch the precision, the focus, and then even in the battles with Tanner, you just looked completely focused in, so precise. You were just picking that moment to where it was going to be able to pull that off and get this win. It was really incredible to watch it. Obviously, we're all, I'm sure you are as well, it's sad that the Bailey battle didn't quite play out tonight. I'm sure it's going to happen in our next round, but win here points wise, this was crucial for you.
Oh, definitely. That puts me on par with Bailey, 3 wins each. So I think that's pretty good. It helps me out massively. I'm not sure what the point spread's going to be now. Maybe I'm sure it's a few. Might be on my part based on his worst finish compared to mine. But yeah, I was definitely looking forward. I was somewhat, I guess, surprised because his pace seemed to be much improved from the few practices that I've seen before. And I think I kind of went somewhat conservative on my setup because after my second pit stop, even though I took tires just to take them, I had a 91% wear on all of them. So I really shouldn't have taken tires, and I overfueled by I think about 8 liters. So yeah, and then with my teammate Tanner, it was funny. We were joking. He's like, "Oh, how did I jump you?" And I said, "Oh, I was just taking it, very cautiously." we might have to do the multi 21. You know.
Hey, to be in his defense, he did tell us that when it came down to it, he certainly wasn't going to take points away from you or push it too hard, even though he kind of at least wanted to make it interesting for you. But team orders are just fine. He gave you full shout out for the setup tips and the setup help here tonight, and well earned for you. You're setting up other people's cars, you're driving fast, and even if you are taking tires you don't need or taking on too much fuel, you're still winning races. And this is getting to be a pretty exciting season for you. So congrats on all that. But I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank for helping you get yet another win.
Yes, thank you guys for that amazing intro. You know, that was fun. Dedicating this one to my old man. Gotta thank my wife and my teammates, Tanner, Reisman. It was, great. We've been working on the setups since for the last 2 weeks, trying to get the best setup. So, and the whole team, it's been great. So, and you guys, again, great showing. I always enjoy watching you guys after the race and watch the whole show from the viewer perspective.
Well, congrats to you, and I appreciate the kind words, even though we all know that Greg on mute might be the best Greg there is. But congrats on the third win in a row for you. Ben Rose, your winner here tonight.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
All right, everybody. That's Ben Rose, your winner tonight in GTP. And Larry, Ben has extended his lead. He came into the evening with a 1-point advantage over Bailey Petrowski with tonight's win. Now has a whopping 5-point advantage over the D2D sim racing driver. All right, so let's move over now to GT3 Pro. And actually, before we do that, he's on mute, but let's jump in because he wasn't here earlier. I want to bring in Leo Dragota, finishing second tonight in GT3 AM.
All right, Leo, you're on mute real quick, but we want to just get a couple words with you. Looks like you had a pretty good battle in a lot of ways tonight. You started down the order a little bit, I think down in 4th or 5th in class. You come up in 2nd place in this class. Are you happy with this finish? Is that what you were targeting for tonight in terms of collecting points?
Yeah, especially with the points. I mean, it's only a 4-point difference now, so that was a really good finish. And that's all I wanted from this race. I mean, I know I was going to be the fastest from the start, so I just said, let's just get a good finish and keep that gap close going into some of the tracks that I like best, like Sebring. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, it's a great finish for you. A lot of difficult traffic here tonight, it seemed. You had a really long train there you were in the middle of for quite a while. But in the end, a top 2 finish in class is always important. So you got any folks from the Dragon Sport or otherwise you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, Lucas, Mom and Dad, you guys for the streaming, and everybody at the league, everyone who helped me practice. I got coaching a little bit, and I want to thank my coach for some of the practice we did together. Really helped me, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, well, congrats, Leo. Good night here tonight for Dragon Sport, and for you, a nice top 2 finish in class here for Leonardo Dragota. Congrats.
Thank you.
All right, Larry, let's move over now finally to GT3 Pro. We're going to talk to our 2nd place finisher tonight. And from Orion Racing, that's Mike Dam.
All right, with us now, and I tell you what, about a lap before the finish, I no way could have told you who was going to win this thing. In fact, 50 feet before the finish, I don't think we knew who was going to win it. But tonight, Mike, unbelievable that you come home just in that 2nd spot by, 30 thousandths. Unbelievable fight there at the end. But have you caught your breath yet?
Yeah, I want to be OP.
No. 90 minutes is 30 thousandths. We had something halfway to the Mercedes.
No. That was an awesome race. For I think me and Ken, I don't think either of us really had a mistake that race, and to come out, the last stop was 2nd and a half that was just awesome stuff.
Yeah, unbelievable. You had to do some work there from the last stop all the way to the finish. You were a couple seconds down. Were you confident fuel was okay, tires are good, and you could make that push?
Yeah, honestly, I think it was due to I had taken a full set of tires on that last stop, so I knew I was banking on having a better, ability to push at the end. So I kind of just, I had a little bit of unlucky traffic at the start of that stint there, but I just kind of I saw red at that point. I just put my head down and went, and I was kind of lucky to be able to catch him. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to.
Yeah, it was a heck of an effort to get down there. At that point, it just became just a crapshoot on who was going to end up being at the line. Fortunately for you, it's a second. It's a great collection of points for you here tonight, but a great second place finish, and probably one of the most exciting finishes we've seen in the World Challenge in the couple seasons we've been going. So, great race for you. A solid night for you. Anybody want to give a thanks to here for the top two finish?
Yeah, Ken Copeland for sure. Like, you know, he's claims he's still learning these cars, but like he's doing pretty darn good, man. So awesome race by him. My teammates out of Ryan, Frank at Ricmotech, Huffy Cycles. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right, so congrats tonight, Mike Dam. Awesome finish here in second in one of the most exciting races we have seen in a very long time.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Larry, and well, let's thanks of course to Mike Dam. Let's bring in one final racer. I mean, there are like 26 or 27 more that I've got lined up, but I think what we're gonna do, we're gonna call it a night by bringing in our GT3 Pro winner for Team Esport Racer. It's Ken Copeland.
All right, Ken. Unbelievable race. It looked calculated from the beginning, and then in the last couple laps, it just looked like full-on game on. How you feeling after getting that win here tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good. There's a bit of a plan there, and it did get executed, but I didn't really know how it was going to end. Mike was awesome. He had a ton of pace, and I knew he was just going to eat away with me towards the end of that because I knew he was going to take tires on his second stint, in my head at least.
Yeah.
So it was a blast. It was a lot of fun.
So we couldn't quite tell. Did you have enough tire under you at the end, or was the car? It looked a little slippery at times in the last couple laps.
I mean, the Merc is pretty slippery in general. There was tire left. Most of the mistakes were on the driver. I was just pushing as hard as I can, and in Monza with the new grass, like if you dip just slightly, it kills so much time. So it was just me kind of over pushing it. I contemplated taking lefts for my last stop, but I figured I'd just chance it with what I knew versus what I didn't. So luckily it panned out. I was able to stick it in the way.
Yeah. Well, then you guys go into the last corner parabolica on the last lap. It looked like Mike gets inside you, gets that move in, but you ran that thing all the way around the outside. Was that the position you wanted in the last corner? Did you want to be on the left?
Yes. So I'd been watching him lap after lap, getting a better drive than me out of parabolica. So in my head, I was like, if I can kind of feign a defense and then move left before him and open it up, I don't mind being on the outside as long as I don't overshoot it, because I can carry more speed through, and I can dictate how much speed he can carry out. I don't know how close it was. I couldn't see him, to be honest. I did overshoot it slightly, but I just kind of stuck in the brakes and then throttled out, and I think he had to lift to just kind of keep it as tight as I was keeping him. So it worked out. I had no idea if it was going to work at the time, but it was worth a shot.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and I love to hear that when you have a plan, execute it, and worst case, it's a 50-50, and in your case, in the end, that Merc dug the power out of there, and you got yourself to the victory here tonight. So awesome job, and probably one of the best finishes we've ever seen here in the World Challenge. So congrats on that big victory, but I'm sure you got some folks that helped you get here and earn this one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a long list of people I'd like to thank. First off, obviously y'all, Apex Racing TV, y'all do a great job week in and week out. Larry, Greg, the unsung hero, Jonathan, hanging out in the back room. So thank you so much for what y'all do week to week. The entire crew over at XMS, from admins to race control to all of the other members of the league, across RWC, SCS, TCC, they're all great guys, and it's awesome to see everybody doing so well. Beyond that, obviously, I do want to thank my wife, Dana, who supports this crazy habit. And then also, this week, I did a little bit of extra practice with some new folks. I'll just say that I want to thank them quietly, but next season, you might see me in a very dark but colorful car.
Awesome. We're looking forward to all of that. That'll be a good time. But tonight, you can soak this one in and celebrate with the teammates and with the family and all of that, because you have earned yourself a very, very big victory here in GT3 Pro. So Ken Copeland, your winner tonight. Awesome job, Ken.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
All right. Thanks so much to Ken Copeland. And Larry, I know this pains you, but that's going to wrap things up for the interview portion of tonight's show. All right. So everybody, thanks so much. Let's take a look at what we've got coming up here in the next few weeks in our different Ricmotech series. Coming up next week, that is going to be, surprisingly enough, Monday night, November 20th. We're winding things down with the Ricmotech Sports Car Series for our GT4 and LMP3 drivers. It's going to be the 75-minute endurance race from Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. And then in 2 weeks, also round number 7, this time the Ricmotech World Challenge, our GT3 and GTP drivers return, and they don't bother leaving the continent. They're going to be heading to Austria, where we head to the Red Bull Ring. And then finally, come January, don't want to miss it, going to be the return of the Touring Car Cup for our MX5 Cup race.